Did you know that abuse can literally reprogram your brain? That's right. It's not just emotional, the impact runs much deeper, changing the way you think, feel, and even make decisions. It sounds extreme, but it's the plain truth. Abuse creates a silent cycle of mental chaos that you might not even realize you're living in. Few people grasp the severity of this, but today you'll discover something that could completely change your perspective. We'll explore how trauma affects the most important areas of the brain, such as memory and emotional control, and why it reshapes even the smallest choices in your daily life. The best part? There's a way back, even if it seems impossible now. So, how are you feeling today? Share in the comments below. I want to know how I can help you on this journey to transformation. The way the brain reacts to abuse is almost like it's defending itself from an invisible attack. Intense traumatic experiences alter the amygdala, the center responsible for our fight or flight response. This means that even in situations where there's no real danger, a person might feel a constant alarm, as if stuck in a perpetual state of alertness. For instance, have you noticed how someone who has experienced abuse might feel uncomfortable even in safe environments? That's the brain saying, stay alert, something could go wrong. Additionally, the prefrontal cortex, which governs logical decision-making and emotional control, is directly impacted. Imagine trying to drive a car with a misaligned steering wheel. Every turn becomes a challenge. Similarly, the brain loses its ability to process emotions clearly, which can lead to overreacting to trivial situations. It's like a minor argument at work mentally escalating into a catastrophe. What's most intriguing is how the brain tries to protect itself. When abuse becomes routine, the amygdala adapts, but not in a helpful way. It becomes more reactive, like a dog barking at any sound by the door. Have you noticed how some people get nervous about noises or unexpected events? This is practical evidence of how the brain is shaped by negative experiences. Another devastating effect is mental fatigue. People who have experienced abuse often feel like they're living in survival mode. They may find it hard to relax or even enjoy simple moments, like having dinner with friends. It's a feeling of being perpetually plugged in, unable to disconnect. However, there's something almost magical about the brain: neuroplasticity. This complex term simply refers to the brain's ability to reprogram itself. It means that even after trauma, the brain can find new ways to function better. Practices like meditation, therapy, and even physical exercise are powerful tools. For example, walking outdoors can help reduce the amygdala's hyperactivity, while activities like yoga promote calmness. If you're looking for a practical starting point, deep breathing exercises are a great option. Breathe in through your nose, count to 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and exhale slowly. It seems simple, but this technique sends a message to your brain. Everything's okay now. The best part, you can do it anywhere, in traffic, before a meeting, or even lying in bed. Interestingly, when we start examining the effects of trauma on the brain, we realize it holds fragmented memories like pieces of a lost puzzle. This brings us to our next topic: how fragmented memories affect life and how to rebuild them. Memory is like a well-organized library, but trauma can turn it into a messy room where books are out of place and some pages are torn. When the hippocampus is affected, it loses part of its ability to logically file memories. That's why many people who have experienced trauma report confused memories or even complete gaps, as if parts of their story had simply disappeared. A practical example of this is flashbacks. They come without warning, bringing a memory so vivid it feels like it's happening again. Imagine walking peacefully and suddenly being overwhelmed by smells or sounds that transport you back to a painful moment. It's not just a memory, it's almost like reliving the moment with all the emotions on the surface. This memory fragmentation can also lead to avoidant behaviors. People who cannot organize their memories often avoid places, people, or situations that might trigger those memories. For instance, someone who survived a car accident might avoid driving or even going near the location where it happened. It's a form of self-protection, but it also limits life. On the other hand, there are ways to start reorganizing this memory room. Therapies like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, have shown incredible results in restructuring traumatic memories. Essentially, it's like guiding the brain to move the books back to the right place. For those looking for practical steps at home, journaling can help kickstart this process. Writing thoughts down organizes not only memories, but also emotions. Another valuable strategy is creating new meanings for painful memories. This doesn't mean ignoring or minimizing the trauma, but finding ways to reframe the experience. For instance, if a memory brings feelings of loss, investing in something fulfilling can transform that weight into motivation. What's most fascinating is that as we begin to reorganize fragmented memories, a deeper emotional connection can emerge. The sense of disconnection that many people report starts to fade. And it's precisely this emotional disconnection that we'll talk about next. Oh, and before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. That way, you can stay updated and not miss any new information. Emotional numbing is like placing a barrier between yourself and the world. When the amygdala is overstimulated by constant trauma, the brain may activate a protective mechanism, creating a feeling of disconnection. It's as if, to avoid pain, it cuts off access to emotions. This might be helpful in the short term, but over time, it brings a difficult-to-ignore emptiness. People experiencing this disconnection often describe feeling like they're watching the world through glass. They know they should feel something: joy at a birthday party, love in a hug, or sadness in a goodbye. But it's as if their heart simply doesn't respond. This lack of reaction can lead to a sense of isolation, even when surrounded by others. In practical situations, emotional numbing can show up in small but impactful ways. For example, someone might watch an emotional movie that makes everyone around them cry, but feel nothing themselves. Or they might notice they avoid deep connections with friends or family as if afraid to get involved. There are simple strategies to start breaking down this emotional wall. Activities involving the body, like dancing, sports, or even martial arts, help reconnect the brain to emotions. Music is also a powerful ally. Creating playlists with songs that resonate can help reignite feelings. Imagine listening to a song that marked a happy moment and letting the memories flow. It's a powerful exercise. Another approach is creating intentional moments to feel. Something as simple as watching a sunset or savoring chocolate slowly can help reconnect the mind and body. These small pauses allow the brain to recognize and process emotions, paving the way for more sensitivity in daily life. However, don't be too hard on yourself. Emotional reconnection is a gradual process, and every small victory counts. The key is taking consistent steps so that the emptiness begins to fill again. And when that happens, the impact reflects even in decision-making, which is often affected by trauma. And that's what we'll talk about next. Making decisions when the brain is under the effects of trauma can feel like speeding through a winding road. The risk of mistakes is high. The prefrontal cortex, which should act as the rational pilot, becomes compromised, leaving intense emotions in control. This often leads to impulsive decisions that don't consider long-term consequences. For example, it's common for someone in a state of emotional vulnerability to spend money impulsively, buying things to fill the void. Or they may enter a toxic relationship just to avoid loneliness. These behaviors might seem to relieve the moment, but often create more problems down the road. To balance this out, developing strategies to slow the decision-making process can help. Something as simple as adopting the 10-minute rule, waiting that long before making an important decision, can make a huge difference. Another technique is listing the pros and cons before acting. Writing thoughts down helps the prefrontal cortex regain control. Another crucial step is learning to identify emotional triggers. If you notice certain environments, people, or situations increase impulsivity, take note and try to avoid them whenever possible. For instance, if an argument with someone close always leads to impulsive shopping or drastic decisions, finding ways to handle the conflict beforehand can be transformative. Practicing activities that stimulate self-control, like meditation or mindfulness, is also a powerful tool. These practices help the brain create an automatic pause between stimulus and response, allowing for more conscious choices. Think of it as strengthening a muscle. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to avoid rash decisions. As we begin to gain clarity in decision-making, other emotional challenges often arise. Anxiety and depression, for instance, are frequent companions for those living with the impacts of abuse. But the good news is that there are ways to deal with them, and we'll explore those next. Anxiety and depression are like persistent shadows that follow those who have experienced traumatic events. When the brain is subjected to high levels of stress over long periods, it adapts, but in a way that leaves us constantly on edge or unmotivated. It's as if the calm button is broken, keeping the body stuck between restlessness and despair. Anxiety, for example, can manifest in subtle ways, such as difficulty sleeping, racing thoughts, or even a physical sensation of tightness in the chest. Imagine someone unable to relax even during a quiet moment, like watching a movie. The brain, conditioned to expect the worst, is always overworking. It's exhausting, but there are ways to lighten this burden. Depression, on the other hand, creates a cloud of discouragement that makes even the simplest tasks difficult. Things that once brought joy, like hobbies or meeting friends, seem to lose their color. This state can lead to intrusive thoughts, making it feel like giving up is the only way out. But in reality, this is just a distorted interpretation created by an overwhelmed brain. There are practical actions that can help relieve these symptoms. For anxiety, grounding exercises are an excellent strategy. One effective technique is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Identify 5 things around you, touch 4 objects, listen to 3 sounds, notice 2 smells, and recognize 1 taste. This helps anchor the mind in the present and breaks the cycle of constant worry. For depression, setting small daily goals can make a huge difference. It doesn't have to be something grand. Starting with something simple, like making the bed or enjoying a cup of coffee in the sunlight, is already a step in the right direction. Light physical activities, like walking in the park, release endorphins and help boost mood. It's worth trying and noticing how these small actions accumulate into significant changes. Although these conditions may feel like daunting challenges, the right support makes all the difference. Therapy, support groups, and even talking to trusted friends help reduce feelings of isolation. And the most encouraging thing is knowing that the brain has the capacity to recover. Let's talk about that now and how to cultivate hope in practice. The brain has something truly extraordinary: its capacity to adapt and heal, known as neuroplasticity. Even after the devastating impact of abuse, it holds incredible potential to rebuild connections, create new pathways, and regain emotional and cognitive skills. It's like a withered plant that, with care and attention, can bloom again. A practical example is people who, after years of trauma, found therapy to be a gateway to reorganizing their lives. Techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy help identify dysfunctional thought patterns and replace them with healthier ones. It's almost like reprogramming outdated software to work better in a new system. Physical activities also play an essential role in this process. Aerobic exercises like running, swimming, or even walking not only strengthen the body, but also stimulate the production of endorphins, the happiness hormones. Studies show that 30 minutes of daily physical activity can have effects as positive as certain medications for mild depression. Additionally, it reinforces a sense of control, something deeply impacted by abuse. Another powerful tool is meditation. It helps the brain slow down and regain balance. Even simple practices like spending 5 minutes a day focusing on your breath can bring significant improvements in stress management. Apps like Headspace or Calm offer easy guides to begin this journey. Reframing your story is also a path to recovery. Transforming a painful experience into motivation to help others or invest in new projects gives meaning to what once seemed unbearable. For example, creating a support group for other survivors or starting a course you've always postponed are practical ways to reconnect. Finally, remembering that you are not alone is essential. There's a support network formed by professionals, friends, and people who've been through the same. The journey may be challenging, but every step, no matter how small, is a victory. With this mindset of continuous progress, we conclude these topics, ready to dive into how you can apply all of this. Now that you understand how abuse can reprogram your brain, it's time to act. Knowledge is just the beginning. The real power lies in applying what you've learned. How about taking the first step today? It could be something simple, like trying a breathing technique or seeking professional support. Share in the comments what you'll do to start this transformation. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content like this. And before you go, watch the video appearing on your screen now. It's the next step in this journey of recovery and overcoming.